For the past 7 years on eastern Java, there have been several missing persons cases, but not one has been solved. Recently, citizens reported sightings of a blue creature in the area, leading to wild rumors about extraterrestrials being involved. The Government Research Institute announced a bounty of $10 billion to catch this elusive alien, dead or alive. In 2025, an unnamed blue alien evades a fanatical mob hell-bent on capturing her for the reward money, though she does not know why she is being chased. A few days ago, she awakened on a farm with no memory of who she is or where she came from. One thing she does know is that no matter where she goes, she always seems to be hunted. After running into an alley, she discovers a newspaper accusing her of being responsible for the disappearances of dozens of civilians, but she denies any wrongdoing. When a mob discovers her again, she ducks into another alley, zooming past a red-haired boy. Though she fears she might be captured, she is pleasantly confused to be let go. However, when she turns the corner, she discovers that she has run into a dead end. With nowhere else to go, she hides inside a dumpster. The boy, named Rakai, covers for her, directing the mob down another street. He hands her some McDonald's and tells her to go to the largest house south of the alley if she needs help. The alien peeks from underneath the dumpster, recognizing him to be the same boy from earlier. She is extremely grateful to him. She quietly exits from the alley and sees the house he described to her. But for the time being, she returns to her hiding spot, an abandoned house blocked off to the public. Unbeknownst to her, Rakai followed her there. A bounty hunter tracks down the blue alien near her hideout, while missing persons posters can be seen plastered on a wall. A local gang approaches him, thinking he is easy prey, but they are savagely beaten, leaving them crying for forgiveness. Meanwhile, the alien descends into the basement, where she is caring for a cat. She gives it the food that Rakai gave her, and she seemingly derives her nutrition and sustenance from the cat's care. She hears someone entering her hideout, and she sprouts bony, wing-like appendages to defend herself. She carefully ascends the stairs to deal with the intruder, but to her surprise, it is Rakai. She becomes flustered as he goes face-to-face with her savior. While Rakai admires her exotic alien beauty, she is confused, but Rakai explains that she looks just like Nadia, a character in one of his favorite games, Mobile of Valor. He asks if he can touch her, and she agrees, musing that he is the only human thus far to not react with hostility towards her. But after seeing him roll on the ground like an excited schoolgirl, she still thinks he's a weirdo. Reiki warns her that a video of her chasing has gone viral on the internet, attracting hunters to their location. He invites her to stay at his house, since he lives alone and is far from the city center. He dresses her up in his own clothes, his ulterior motive. But an alien hunter suddenly appears and declares that the 10 billion bounty is all his. Rakai and Nadia try to protect each other, but before either can react, the bounty hunter critically injures Rakai and seemingly kills the alien. While the bounty hunter goes off to find a bag to load Nadia into, Rakai crawls toward her, saying he still has unfinished business. But when their hands touch, a blue glow comes over him. All at once, memories of Rakai's mother and childhood flood into the alien's mind. As the soul link completes, Rakai awakens, now with blue skin and blue eyes, and no memory of who he was. The alien also awakens, and she finds that Rakai has also turned into someone like her. She tells him that they have to get away, and when Rakai confirms that this is her order, he suddenly carries her and sprouts 2 fully grown wings, a feat even she has yet to replicate. They fly out into the sky without direction. They land on a rooftop, but Rakai suddenly collapses, and the blueness recedes from his skin, turning him back to normal. Rakai has no idea why they're up on a mountain, and as he starts panicking, Nadia explains everything. Meanwhile, 2 bounty hunters, Benjo and Fen, wonder if the flying figure they saw was the alien. Fen recounts to Benjo her past encounters with aliens, remarking that they have several advantages. They don't need to eat or sleep, and they possess exceptional healing capabilities. But they have one weakness: they're hosts, and she reveals a blue alien mark on her shoulder. When Nadia first awoke, she tried looking for food when she grew hungry, but she soon learned that food and water are unable to enter her body. As she lay on the ground, dying from malnourishment, she suddenly revived thanks to a stray cat. She realized that she received sustenance from a host. Rakai is now her host, and she apologizes that she will now be a burden on him. Rakai tells her not to worry and pats her head. But what Nadia failed to mention is that when she would die, her host will die in her place. There remains the problem of getting down from the building, though Nadia has no idea how to get him back into his blue form. She inadvertently orders him to get them down, which activates his blue form. They nearly plummet to their deaths, and Nadia has to explicitly order him to use his wings to fly. Using the ID card in his wallet, she guides them back to his house, where he reverts to his human form. Nadia is amazed at how large and spacious his house is, and upon entering, she cooks him some instant noodles so that they can eat for them both. Rakai jokes that the noodles are tasteless, and the two laugh, which Nadia remarks is her first time laughing in a long time. Meanwhile, the alien hunter is frustrated that he underestimated the alien, but he recalls her calling out Rakai's name, so he hops onto the gram and instantly finds Rakai, revealing his real name, line, and Steam ID. Later, Rakai receives a follow notification from Seiji, but he thinks nothing of it. Benjo asks Sven what they're doing out in the mall, and she replies that aliens can take on the appearance of their host. In Nadia's case, she can appear human. Benjo asks how they're supposed to differentiate them, and Fen says that a telltale sign of an alien is their long, sharp ears, like elves from fantasy stories. As such, she tells him to keep an eye out for people purposefully hiding their ears. After another nightmare, Nadia is relieved to not be fearing for her life as she wakes up. As she passes by the mirror, she realizes that she can change her appearance to be more human. But when she shows Rakai, he candidly remarks that he prefers her blue form since she looks like the video game character. He motions for her to look at his phone and offers to buy her some clothes since she'll be living with him from now on. At the thought of being under one roof with him, Nadia turns bright red. As they pick out clothes together, Nadia's heart continues to flutter. When the clothes are delivered, Rakai praises her by calling her cute. He confirms that his eating will provide her with sustenance, and he remarks that he should eat a lot more to keep her smiling. This sends Nadia's heart into overdrive. Excellent work by Rakai, the alien lady killer. Nadia feels at ease as she stands with Rakai on the balcony. Rakai comes closer to Nadia, but suddenly he snaps her neck, revealing that he hated her all along. Nadia awakens, tied to a chair next to a swimming pool. As her head tries to process what just happened, she realizes that Rakai had been confirming everything about how she needs someone else to eat for her to survive. Rakai emerges from his house with a crazed expression, and he begins blaming her for the disappearance of his mother. He demands to know where her mother or her alien friends are, threatening to subject her to a painful, repeated death by drowning. But Nadia genuinely does not know, and before she can warn him that he will die in her place if she perishes, he kicks her into the pool. Nadia begins struggling in vain, her lungs gasping for air as she slowly lapses out of consciousness. Rakai is forced to rescue Nadia from the pool, but he clicks his tongue at the troublesome alien. As he goes into the shower, Nadia is left alone out in the rain. She begins to ruminate on her situation, how the world is beautiful, but not for her, of how she is unjustly blamed for the disappearances of people without a smidgen of truth or a shred of evidence, of how she thought she could trust Rakai and how wrong she had been. She realizes that as long as her skin is blue, the world is her enemy. She grabs a cutting blade off a table and intends to remove her soul link by force. Rakai's plans are ruined. Now that he knows the consequences of the soul link, he can't even hand her over to the police, much less kill her. As he reviews the evidence, he realizes that she had nothing but the clothes on her back, making him question the agreed narrative that the aliens came here to abduct humans. He begins to have a terrifying thought. What if she genuinely knows nothing, and he attacked her for no reason? He suddenly grows afraid that she might retaliate, but he is confident that she is still in a weakened state. Nadia bursts into his room, brandishing the cutting blade. She tells him to kill her, but he refuses, knowing full well what will happen. She begins brutally beating him, threatening to forcibly remove the soul link unless he obeys all her orders with full loyalty and without question. Unable to do anything, Rakai submits. Meanwhile, Seiji appears out on his porch, remarking that domestic violence between humans and aliens is unavoidable. Unfortunately for them, he's in it for the money. Nadia forces Rakai to eat, and tensions run high as distrust festers between them. Suddenly, Rakai pushes Nadia out of the way as Seiji's bullet shatters their window. As Rakai asks what their next move should be, Nadia initially says she doesn't care since Rakai would die in her place anyway, but she says it was just a joke, unwilling to lower herself to human morality. She orders him to eat like his life depends on it, as she will deal with Seiji herself. But she notices that she has yet to hear any other windows breaking or doors being breached, and she wonders what the bounty hunter is doing. She decides to check outside, but Rakai suddenly gets a video call from Seiji, revealing that he is now a wanted man and that police are on their way to his house. A news flash announces that there has been an alien sighting in Surabaya, broadcasting that it is suspected to be in the house of one Rakai Paramasura. Rakai hurriedly grabs Nadia to leave, as they are now on the run from the Indonesian government. 2 days ago, Suji received an invitation from Alfonso, a notorious leader of the local mafia, to be part of an alien hunter coalition which he says has noble goals of proving humanity's superiority over aliens. Suji had already seen video footage of the alien being chased, but he decides to drop by their meeting anyway. Alfonso greets Suji as the Italian samurai, with his real name being Durao. There are 10 other hunters in the room, among them is Fen. Alfonso begins by sharing his plans for a united front to ensure that the bounty does not go to the police. He suggests that they pool their information among each other to ensure that they keep the bounty to themselves. He will split the bounty 11 ways, adding 1 billion to the total bounty out of the goodwill in his mafia heart. But Suji has no plans to share the bounty, and he leaves the coalition. A man asks Fen about her cool tattoo, and she says it isn't a tattoo. It's an alien bite mark. Suji wonders what Alfonso's ulterior motives are because there's no way a mafia boss with connections to the Chinese and Americans wouldn't have 1 or 2 of his own men searching for the alien. He then sees a poster from the police offering 10 million rupiah, roughly 660 USD, for any sighting of the alien. Suji gets a sly idea. Meanwhile, Benjo tires of waiting for Fen and follows her into the meeting. But what he sees there is Fen's alien form, with the entire room left a bloody mess. With the police swarming Rakai's house, all of Indonesia knows he is involved. Navia gets Rakai to stop panicking, pointing out that she already looks human, and his frantic movements will only attract more suspicion. When Rakai realizes that he can be tracked from his phone, he is forced to destroy it. Navia guides him down a road, and she does her best to keep him from losing his composure. But this leaves Rakai confused, since even after everything he did to her, she is still looking out for him, and he begins to seriously question the notion that aliens came here to kidnap humans. Rakai sees a pack of stray cats, and he fears he will be killed so that Navia can switch hosts. Instead, Navia guides him into an abandoned lot and asks him, "Are you scared of me?" Meanwhile, Luis, another bounty hunter, watches them from afar, mysteriously ensuring their safety. Rakai says he isn't scared of her, which she thinks is all well and good. Rakai's stomach grumbles again, and Navia orders him to find food for them both. When Rakai expresses his fear that he will be hunted, Navia retorts that he now knows how she feels. Meanwhile, Suji claims his reward money from the police, although they are reluctant to part with it. When Suji suggests that the police simply want to keep the money to themselves, they are forced to pay up. Suji returns to his temporary hideout, where its former occupants are left tied up on the floor. He meets with Luis, his subordinate, who shows him a photograph of Navia and Rakai. However, Suji is surprised to see that Navia is no longer blue, and he deduces that she may have some ability that lets her change her appearance. Luis asks why they bother conducting surveillance on them, and Rakai says they need to learn more about them. He recounts that he already killed her once, and she somehow came back to life. Additionally, with how many groups, institutions, and organizations are after these aliens, Suji has a terrifying idea: to breed the aliens and sell their children. Luis is at a loss for words. As Rakai tries to figure out a way to safely buy food, he realizes that this feeling of fear and hopelessness is what Navia is feeling every day. With her story of being forced to hide in abandoned buildings and spaces looking more and more like the truth, Rakai feels immense guilt. He approaches the sleeping Navia and remarks that her features are similar to those of a human's, save for her ears, which he finds kind of cute. When Navia moves, he quickly backs away, while Navia secretly wonders what he was touching her sensitive spot for. Before he leaves, Navia warns him not to stray too far, as she may not receive enough nutrients. Rakai goes downtown and picks out an empty restaurant to buy food from. The restaurant owner thinks he is some TV star at first, but when he sees her calling the police, Rakai makes a mad dash outside. He bumps into another man, causing his hood to fall. With his face now revealed, a crowd begins to form around him. As Nadia laments being back on the streets, she begins to consider that she may have been an alien separated from her group, and that her kind really did go here to abduct humans. She decides there is only one way to discover the truth: to find the other aliens. She struggles to control her transformed state, but she senses that Rakai has been discovered. Rakai tries to get away, but a man punches him, and he stumbles down. As the crowd starts to savagely beat him, he begins to truly understand the fear and frustration that Nadia felt when nobody believed her. Worse, he did the same thing to her. As the police converge on the scene, Rakai's body violently jerks forward as he slowly transforms into his alien form, but this time with extra tools to mess around with. Luis watches Nadia from afar and sees her transforming between her alien and human forms. Suddenly, Nadia breaks into a sprint, following a trail of energy that leads her to Rakai. While Louis chases after her, the two bump into each other. Meanwhile, Rakai transforms into a far more grotesque and powerful alien form, causing the crowd to disperse in fear. Gunfire appears ineffective, and when Rakai beats his wings and dashes towards them, they dive for safety. However, he appears to be not in control of himself, and he flies straight at Nadia, putting her in grave danger. Elsewhere, a crowd overhears the commotion downtown. When Fen learns of this, she breaks into a smile. As Nadia sees Rikai's transformed state, she suddenly sees repressed memories of someone she is presumably related to. They apologize for not keeping her safe, but they tell her to seek out that man and to keep hidden from another man. Nadia barely parries Rikai's attack in time, which a police officer sees. However, they are far more preoccupied with the rampaging Rakai, but before they can draw their guns, Louis kills them from afar. He apologizes, saying that's how the mafia works. The chaos begins, drawing an even larger crowd, and they all instantly bring out their phones to film. The military soon arrives as Rakai perches atop a building, and he is left with thoughts of his mother. In a flashback, he recalls the happy times with his mom and dad, and how they teased him for being so short, joking that they probably brought the wrong baby home from the hospital. But in an instant, those happy days are stolen from him, as his parents lay on the ground dead. He is terrified of himself, and talking to nobody, he asks not to be looked at. As dead bodies lie strewn about, he asks what just happened.